Hello everyone, Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player, games, writer, verge, recorder videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to Patron D&D, where platinum level patrons and I get together to play Dungeons & Dragons via Discord and Roll20. These sessions are entirely supported by patrons of patreon.com/roguewatson. Patrons also get exclusive access to private videos, custom 5e content, and participate in monthly DM roundtables. These Patron D&D games are not live streamed, but are recorded for your viewing pleasure. Watch more D&D sessions, reviews, and crafting streams on my YouTube channel. Read recaps at roguewatson.com. And listen to all of these shows with the Rogue Watson podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow me on Twitter at Rogue Watson and join our Discord server with invite link in the description below. Music is by Kevin MacLeod, and our amazing original character art was done by Jimmy McClure. Welcome to Chapter 2, Episode 6 of our Empire of the Ghouls campaign, designed by Richard Green and published by Kobold Press. This session, I'm joined by patrons Brandon, playing Bahn, the Kobold Bard, College of Whispers.
Hello.
Corey, playing Lucian Drago, the dhampir, Clockwork Soul Sorcerer.
Hello.
Dory, playing Io, the gearforged Circle of the Moon Druid.
Hello.
John, playing Torben, the bearfolk, Ancestral Guardian Barbarian.
Hello.
Stan, playing Alaric, the dhampir, Death Domain Cleric / Bard.
Greetings.
Previously on Empire of the Ghouls, the party had reached the northern outskirts of the Krakovar territory. Their destination, the free city of Jost, which lied over 100 miles to the east, nearly a week's journey over the vampire-controlled territory. Archduke Avgost hoped to reach the city to negotiate with the dwarves who have kept the vampire armies at bay all of these years. The party hoped to follow up with the Temple of Sif in the city about a powerful artifact. Using a combination of survival skills, subterfuge, and deception, the adventurers traveled swiftly and silently. During the journey, the Archduke revealed how quickly and totally the kingdom fell after a brutal combined onslaught from the vampires of Morgau and the ghouls of the Underworld Imperium. Once the party had to feud off a surprise attack by a spellcasting ghoul and a group of zombies, allowing Kovac to show off his undead-slaying skills. A few days outside the city, the adventurers came across a hunting party of Reaver dwarves. For explaining their mission, the dwarves escorted them to the city, where they enjoyed their first safe haven since entering the Fey Roads. The Archduke was glad to arrive, immediately ingratiating himself into the politics of the city while thanking the party for their assistance. The party visited the Temple of Sif, and after Torben engaged a warrior priest in a friendly battle, they were invited inside to discuss their mission with High Priestess Yagoda. The High Priestess revealed that the Holy Robes may be in possession of a group of outlaw warriors who call themselves the Spear Maidens of Hope. They wander the conquered land, defeating the undead wherever they can. Finding them would be nearly impossible, but thankfully the anniversary of their inspirational martyr, Sister Adelind, is approaching, and they often make pilgrimages to the site of her death at the ruins of Castle Yarosburg. The castle sits on the other side of the kingdom, some 300 miles away. The priestess suggested that they take a barge into the nearby swamp and connect with the river that runs south towards Varshava. You all have spent a few days in the city of Jost. The first time that you've been in a safe place since leaving the refugee city of Karayasan. And technically was once part of the Krakovar kingdom, and yet instead of being invaded and conquered by the vampires, it was welcomed and conquered by the Reaver dwarves, who are very Viking-like. And they have basically worked together with the people to repel the invaders. And now they've carved out this entire peninsula. So it is a relatively free city, and yet certainly not... It feels kind of behind enemy lines in some ways. If it weren't for the fact that they are on a coast, they would be really screwed, because they have very little commerce and traffic via the roads. Instead, almost everything is done via their ships that they can send out to other territories. I'm going to ask what all of you have been doing in this downtime, and it can be pretty much whatever you'd like. And if you have any questions about the city of Jost, do feel free to ask them. Bahn, what have you been doing in these last few days?
Bahn has been trying to scout out the type of barge that this is. Do you have any description for the type of boat that we'll be taking?
The only barge that you have discovered. It's a pretty easy process for you because most of the boats and ships deal with the sea. Very few actually go into. There are river boats, but the river very quickly goes in. Like there's a few like villages along the way, but very quickly you enter, the territory. Basically, this is the entire territory they've carved is the peninsula. And this is kind of at the southern end. So once you start going south in the river, you're entering enemy territory. There are very few barges that are capable of going into as far as into the swamps. There is one that you've uncovered that looks like it's the one destined for you all, and it is called the Swamp Rat. And it is captained and run entirely by rat folk. And they appear to be a very rowdy and gregarious bunch.
Okay. Is it a Huckleberry Finn type barge? As far as like a raft type thing, or is it?
It's got a sail. It's got like a rudder in the back, and it's they've got oars that they can maneuver, and it's a bit of a sail thing. But the whole thing is designed for swamp and river travel, and not for open sea. And it's got like a little lower end where you can go down.
Okay, so it does have like a small, like shallow hull.
Yes. Okay. It's not as fancy as, I don't know if you've seen the Jungle Cruise movie, the most recent one. It's not as fancy as that, but it's kind of what or maybe that old, was that Anaconda movie? I'm trying to think of the few ones that I've seen that have like jungle river.
It's a riverboat. Is what you're trying to explain.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, in that case, he's going to spend a little bit of time doing two things. Really just enjoying the coastal air, just letting it wash over his face and trying to take time for self-care. I'm thinking of the scene with Nicolas Cage in the movie where his hair's like blowing behind him, but his eyebrows, right? It's Bond's eyebrows that are blowing. And I
like
think
Con Air or something. Or
yeah, Con Air. That's the one. Yeah. that's the one. It's
fucking great
that's
movie.
Bahn. And then I'm gonna spend some time shopping for a straw hat and a corncob pipe.
Fantastic. Probably like a tourist shop too.
Yeah.
Going into the swamp, you'll need these things, you dumbass tourist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very nice. Lucian, what have you been doing these last few days in the city of Jost?
Oh gosh. I think I would have been picking Archduke Avgas's brain. What's been going on? I would be asked questions about the Queen, what happened in the interim.
Okay.
When I lost contact of what had happened. Probably ask about like people I knew, if they got out or not, and
he responds very well to the conversations. He's like, his favorite topic is obviously talking about his country, and he really enjoys. You can tell just like his personality, like this oppressive fog has lifted off of him from being back in Jost. He wasn't from Jost specifically, but it was a town in the kingdom, and he's just overjoyed to be back here. I don't know if you're, you said specifically from Krakova, which is the capital city, which is kind of not too far from here. It's also a coastal city further to the east. I don't know if your character has been to this city before specifically, but he very much enjoys the conversation. He's not able to illuminate too much of the questions that you have. In fact, you probably realize that you were probably in Krakovar for maybe even longer than he was, and you were deeper in because you were actually, I believe, in the capital city during the attack, whereas he was in a smaller city down in the southwestern region. So he even ends up asking like questions about from you and all the things that you were doing.
Okay.
Nice. Io, what have you been doing in the city of Jost?
Well, I think the first thing I would do is clearly this wig is not doing it enough. So I would be looking for some supplies to make myself blend in with the group more while we're traveling up in this area so that we don't stick out any more than we already do. So, just maybe some other clothes or other things to kind of help cover up my body. Maybe, some big like Jackie O style glasses. Just some other things that would kind of take away from the shininess of my chassis.
Okay. Kind of similar to maybe even end up shopping a little with Bahn to an extent, even though you're both shopping for very different reasons. But yeah, trying to get the local flavor.
It looks real natural.
You do note that
Like this?
gearforged are much, much, much less common. Zobek, you were nobody thought twice. Zobek is probably in fact like one of the most capital cities for Clockworks or gearforged. And that's not to be like you're necessarily turning heads around, but you would definitely feel like you're more of a minority up here for sure. And same goes for Bahn as well, actually. Also, there were much more Kobold. Zobek, very much a melting pot city of different kinds. And now that you've gone on, you've kind of gone to more isolated, mainly, and from war to an extent too, that different pockets of people.
Okay. And the second thing I would like to do, considering we are going on a barge, I would like to spend some time by the swamp and the river and see if I can observe any water animals, maybe like a crocodile or something,
Oh,
for the
shit.
purpose of maybe just trying to learn a little bit more about the nature of them.
Yeah, no, we have, I have rules for this. Dory, for gaining beast shapes. I should have been more prepared for tokens. But you can actually, we just haven't come across this in a while, and I love it that you're doing this. To gain new beast shapes, you can either spend an hour observing a beast from a point of 150 feet away or less, and then make a nature check with the DC equal to 10 plus the BCR, or you can attempt to directly interact with them and use animal handling with a check equal to DC 10 plus the BCR. So probably if you want to observe safely from a distance, you're looking at a nature check. And I'm pretty sure crocodile is what sits out to me as being an appropriate swampy creature.
There's a crocodile farm here, right? Like where they feed the crocodile chickens and you pay to...
I would imagine so, yeah. Hell, the dwarves probably have
whale
like...
watching tour.
They probably like a fighting ring or something.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Bahn would drag Dory into it more than anything.
I'm just waiting for the whale watching tour to see if she can get an orca. Put that in the river.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I think it'd only be a DC 10 because it's a CR is half for a crocodile.
Okay. Well, let's try the nature check then. I don't even know if it rolled.
Yep, you got an 11, which your plus 3 is a 14. So you've gained a crocodile beast shape.
8.
I do not have that currently set up on your token, but I can slap something together if the need arises.
Okay.
Take 2 on.
Sorry, I should have warned you.
That was the only bummer, is I realized, like, oh man, there is a little bit of extra step for the to prep for the druid beast shapes. If you can think of another swamp creature, crocodile was the first one that came to my mind as the most appropriate.
I think that's the one I thought of too. I don't know if anybody else has a different suggestion.
Especially
Is
when
it a giant snapping turtle.
Yeah, it's some kind of turtle would be the other one, but I think crocodile kind of beats it out mechanically. All right, checking out the crocs. Torben, what has Torben been doing in the downtime?
He would have gone looking for little baubles or souvenirs. Stuff small enough to fit in like a belt pouch, though. And looking for items to add to his alchemist supplies.
I forgot about the alchemy angle. Yeah, you can definitely find pretty much anything in the player's handbook. Even though this is a city sort of behind enemy lines, they keep up their trade pretty well because they're on the coast. And you can find everything for pretty much the same prices as the player's handbook.
Okay.
Alaric.
Spend some time in the Gods Market, looking for basically going military surplus shopping, and finding, getting a helmet for Matthias, buying a couple flags. One, kind of like it would be like someone's trophy of a flag of Morgau, and also a flag of Krakovar. Preferably something smaller, like a pennant that you can put on a spear, kind of announcing to another force your allegiance.
Okay.
Thinking ahead to if we do run into the sisters, can put that on Matthias's spear and announce us as a friendly from a distance. Because if they've survived this long raiding throughout the countryside, I don't want to get totally destroyed from a distance. And also it would help with our cover if we were riding with a flag of Morgau, with specifically with Lucian and I, we could potentially pose as vampires in here under the flag of Morgau, and possibly add that to our disguise. The other thing is finding anything resembling a steak place and just having as much red meat as I possibly have, because I'm tired of trail rations.
Fair enough.
Not like a wooden stake.
That's what I thought at first. I was like, both of those would probably be useful, and you could probably find an entire wooden steak store too. Yeah, every food place sells plenty of garlic. Like, yeah, they don't fuck around.
Mirrors everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a security entrance.
Powdered silver in all the drinks. Yeah, it's a good time.
Right, I think I actually managed to, while you all were talking, set up IO with a crocodile form.
And got a backpack for Matthias so he can carry the flags.
Nice. Did you say you did end up getting him a sword? Do I need to add that on there?
No, I gave him my warhammer.
Oh, the warhammer. That's right. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. It all came back to me. At one point during your stay in Jost, and it's pretty obvious for Lucian because you're hanging out with the Archduke most of the time. You all have dinner. He invites you all to a nice restaurant as just part of a payment for your services, and just kind of informing about how talks are going and about the call the Jarl, I think, of this province of the Wolfheim called the Wolfmark. He's still awaiting. The leader's supposed to arrive here soon, so he'll have talks with him, and he's basically complaining that most likely they'll have to annex this entire peninsula to the dwarves, basically, as at least part of the concessions they'll have to make to try and combine their armies, and he's have to convince that they've got a standing army they can even work with, even though he really doesn't. But he mentions he's heard disturbing reports of a new building near Varshava called their blood vaults, and there's one similar to that in Morgau, and the fact that they have built one recently just in the middle of Krakovar is extremely distressing. And these are sacred places of the Red Goddess, Morena, and they allow the followers and acolytes to essentially store blood for the vampires. And it's just a huge, important resource and seat of power for them using the local populace. And obviously this is very, very distressing for the Archduke. It says, as heroes who hate the undead as much as I do, I ask you to look into these blood vaults and see if there's anything you can do. If you make it down to Varshava, seek out Olan Forn, the owner of the Bleeding Crow Tavern. He can be trusted.
Did you say Ulan Vorn?
Write it down for.
Sorry. Vorn. Okay.
Yeah, as the city of Varshava. And Varshava is, as you recall, basically the next city you all have to go in. In fact, I'll go ahead and put you on the bigger map. As you were suggested to by the High Priestess at Sif, where you can go try to find these holy robes, and they're in the possession of this outlaw group that are supposedly going to meet up at the ruins of Castle Yarosburg, which is here pretty far deep down. In fact, it's almost just about on the border of what was once Krakovar and Morgau, and the site of a major battle and attack. And in fact, they actually destroyed and razed the castle completely. It is now just ruins. And then that is your ultimate destination. And she suggested, instead of trying to go over the roads and travel this way again, you actually get on a barge, travel through this swampland, and then connect onto this river you can see here, this big old winding river. It goes all the way down to Varshava, which used to be one of the major cities in the region, is now completely under the control of the vampire kingdom of Morgau. Alaric, I believe you and your sister originally from Varshava.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Blood vault there is very disturbing.
What, like, how big are these buildings? Are they like huts or barracks?
He says, I've never seen one, but I've heard horror stories of anything from a crypt to a fortress. And they take people, some prisoners, some even volunteers, and he spits, to march in there and take their blood and store it some special profane way. Keeps it fresh. That allows the vampires greater control, allows them to expand their kingdom.
Do they keep the participants alive, or for more, or is that the end of it?
As far as I'm aware, they would prefer that the bloodletters keep on providing blood as long as possible.
So blowing the whole place up, talking to Rye about the black powder is probably not the way we want to handle this then.
I don't know how big of a scene we want to make here is the only thing. We do not want to do anything that is going to feel like a war or that is going to put more of the people in jeopardy.
Well, that's my idea.
Assassinating priests and priestesses could be useful.
That could be a much better way of handling it, I think.
Perhaps we can. Perhaps we can even taint their supply.
That would also be a good way of handling it, if at all possible. I'm afraid I don't know more about it, and I'm not sure who does. I only know that it is going to be a huge stain and problem, and right in the middle of the kingdom like that would allow them to exert their influence greater than before. All right. If anybody doesn't have any more pressing concerns or things they would like to purchase or look at in Jost, you all can make your way forwards the dock.
Say something about paying us.
I think you all were paid initially from the Queen, correct? To do this mission.
And
He
the dude
will
said additional funds when we get there.
Okay. He will in fact, if you bring up the journey, like the fact that you are going down there and doing all these other missions, he will give each of you, and he kind of is almost feels bad about it, but he gives each of you 100 gold pieces. And we need to remember to give the folks who aren't currently here also, they get that payment too, if you can mark that somewhere.
I'll make a note.
Thank you. As partly as like kind of a travel fund, basically, to help do that. And with the mission he just gave you all, and obviously if you can complete said mission, he would try to funnel you more funds, and he knows, like, you guys are obviously in it to help the cause, but you also need to be able to eat and sleep, and he's certainly sympathetic to that. And you are glad to have it, because when you show up at the docks, Bahn has already met, or at least seen, I don't know if you've actually even formally met the rats of the swamp rat barge, but there's only basically the one single swamp-worthy barge crewed by a family of rat folk, and they are run by a very gregarious patriarch. If you've got the coin, then you got the swamp rat and Captain Shellshank at your service. You're a bigger crew than we usually take, but we don't ask no questions, do we, mates? Arr! I see about
Now, when
half
you
a
say
dozen.
crew,
There's about half a dozen rat folk on this ship.
does that mean like we're participating?
It looks you up and down and says, you got your river legs, do you? You certainly look the part. Look at that nice hat, fellas. They all just absolutely snicker openly at you. I want you to get sunburned in the swamp. Oh, we can fit all of you. He kind of looks at the bear, Torben, back there. Where are we headed?
Bond starts just getting on the boat, like it's a cruise, right? Like just packing his bag, not doing the best that he can. And for him, it's like hoisting it, like he's having to really struggle to get the stuff. And he's just like, well, Varshava, if I'm not mistaken, we're heading in that direction.
All the way down the river. Barely make it that far. Kind of loses composure for a second, then shrugs, says, well, it's certainly going to cost you a pretty penny to go that far.
He probably just waits. He doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Yet. The person who talks first loses usually in negotiations.
We charge a very reasonable rate of 20 gold per head to reach Varshava.
Alaric's going to spend some time talking to him, asking him about his boat and stuff and what they've encountered, and just being very pleasant, and for at least a minute to activate my predatory charm. And I'm going to negotiate and see if we can get for 15 a head.
Okay, can you put that into the chat so we can see? I don't know if you can click on it or... Excellent. Magically beguile the mind of a creature you can see within 30 feet.
Gives me advantage on charisma checks.
Okay. When the effect ends, the target feels repulsed by you and becomes hostile towards you until the next dawn. Are you sure you want to?
We're not on the
Are you sure you want to use this?
Did you Chris that spell?
I don't remember that part.
This is like Charm Person, but like way more heavy on the drawback almost.
No, okay, I won't do that. But I will attempt to negotiate, saying, it kind of just explaining it's like, hey, it's nice to be home again. I haven't been in this part of the country in a long time.
You
Really
do.
looking forward
You
to
did the thing where
trip.
you're like, I'm not a tourist. I've been here like many
Yeah.
times. Like, I'm originally from the area. Don't
Might be
fucking
able to help
cheat me.
you out a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Does Sam still have that store down there? Oh, that's okay. Give me a persuasion check.
Meanwhile, Bahn's tucking his robe like into his belt a little bit to hoist his things off so you can see his legs, like these like wrinkly, scaly chicken legs.
Without predatory charm, a 21.
My goodness. Oh, look at that. I even this just happened in our in my other game. Like somebody rolled a higher and I rolled a nat 20. This is a battle of absolute wills between the two of you. Like it is locked in and it is fierce negotiations. He's like, I got 6 kids and blah blah blah, and you're like, I've been from the area, and it is just back and forth. But finally he seems to be impressed by your acumen and your ability to negotiate, and he finally rocks back and says, oh, well, maybe it's for a good cause, and things you're doing could be good for the place. I don't know. All right, 15 gold ahead. So he agrees to charge everybody 15 gold to get on the ship.
And I can pay the 15 for Matthias as well.
Okay.
And
So
one
everybody
other
gets
thing is like to pick up 2 vials of holy water as well. With the mention of the blood vault, if we're going to try to taint it, at least have something to try to taint it with.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was just going to ask.
Yeah, I forget what that's.
They're 25 each.
I think they're 20. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can. You can definitely find. There's probably a whole fucking store of nothing but holy water here. It's yeah, they got garlic hanging on the stuff. It's mirrors everywhere.
Fill your own dispenser. You know,
Yep,
it's-
yeah, like a candy dispenser. Soda machine full of holy water. Yeah, easily. The captain says, "The Circa's full of death. The river has the occasional patrol, but you know, vampires, they can't stand running water. So the river travel is I think, safest way to go. Now, our best defense is speed. There's no speeding through a swamp. We gotta have the ship built for a swamp, so it's gonna take us a couple days to make it through the Circa. Or we get to the river. A river with the rest of the crew, and finally about maybe 5 days to get through the river to Varshava. We're looking at a little over a week on the boat. If any of y'all get seasick, be no yucking on the ship, or you're cleaning up. All right, you
Bahn's
all.
tenseness is just like washing away from him, considering he's not going to have to walk anywhere.
That's
He's just
true.
gonna-
Yeah.
Yep.
Much more pleasant. Yeah, you guys can ship off into the swampland. The endless marshland of Siarka swamp stretches all around you, filling your ears, eyes, and nose with dank and decay. Troubling gurgling and groaning noises follow your boat throughout the swamp. For the evening of the second day, the barge suddenly jerks to a stop with a terrible lurching motion. I need all of you to actually give me a strength saving throw, please.
Oh.
So terrible was the lurching. Oh, these boats.
That's what I get for sitting on the prow.
Yeah. Look
Man
at
overboard.
these saves.
It was really aggressive.
Holy
Oh,
Toledo.
Whole thing got beat.
You all were really not expecting this. Yeah, you all. The first day was smooth and were feeling pretty confident. Now this one just jerks to a stop. My goodness. Well,
the Lido deck has now been evacuated. It is now the swimming pool.
Alaric, or sorry, which one was your? Oh, Matthias was 5. Okay.
Yep.
So Alaric, you fall prone. Torben and Io, you both fall prone. Bahn, Matthias, and Lucian, you all fall off the boat.
Yeah.
You're just that bad. Yeah, update this. Okay. And at the same time, you hear Shellshank curse says, "What the hell's? We hit something! I think it's a dead body. Ah, crap." And as he says that, you see several putrid, rot-covered corpses are moaning and rising up out of the water, grasping onto the sides of the now stopped barge. Some of them climbing up with superhuman strength, and bits of rotting branches and squirming insects falling off their bodies. As some of you turn to face these foes, or others now in the water just seeing them right next to you, several glowing balls appear directly above you, firing little bursts of electricity. And get you on this map.
How deep is the water?
It is not very deep at all. It's probably chest high.
For IO or for Bahn?
Yeah, Bahn would probably be struggling a bit. All right, are we on the map?
See, we would have had opportunity to long rest in the city, right? So I can.
Sorry, yes, I should have mentioned that. Goodness. Yes, you all had spent several days in the city, so you should not only be long rested but fully healed on hit dice and stuff too. Yeah, for sure.
Man, I feel like this dice I've got needs to go in timeout or something. 2 2s in a row.
Oh my goodness, yeah. All right, can everybody see the map okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's a little dim because it's a swamp, but you've got little lights on the side of your boat, little lanterns, I guess I should say, providing a little bit of illumination. Those of you with dark vision probably don't tell much of a difference either way.
The second initiative is Matthias.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you click on the token and roll it, it should work just fine, which it looks like it did.
I did, yep.
Yep. Sheets open.
There we go, yep. It shows up in chat as Alaric, so it kind of freaks me out.
That's
when I
fine,
go
yeah.
back.
That's
he's
the
over
drop down in the lower right corner you could change technically.
there. Okay.
All right, boy, at 27 for the mysterious ball of light. What could it be? I have played a lot of D&D, and I don't think I've ever seen, run, or played against this creature.
They hit like freight train.
Even though it's such a... I feel like it's a ubiquitous creature everybody knows. Like, you can't help but like, oh yeah, I know what that is. I don't think I've ever run into it. And I was like, it's a swamp encounter. So that's the first one. Fortunately for you all, it's closest to a red shirt crew person.
Sorry, I accidentally just rolled something while I was trying to update my...
Just biting in air, ready for it. 15 is going to hit this poor sucker. Oh boy. And just immediately this thing comes down like a little glowing ball and just lightning arcs out of it, just Emperor Palpatine style, and just absolutely fries this poor rat, who gives off a little bit of a squeak and then is just completely electrocuted. Bahn, you are currently in the water, which is considered difficult terrain. And you don't see the actual nearest dead corpse thing. Seems to have pulled itself up onto the boat nearby.
Yeah, I think he'll see. Can I see over the bow of the boat, or can I not from the angle that I'm at?
You'd
Do I
have
hear
to.
the electricity.
You can definitely hear it, yeah. And you could maybe, because they're actually kind of floating above a little bit, so you could probably see them a little bit. Maybe not quite this one, but because there is a bit of a height differential with the boat here.
Can I do the free action thing to see what I might know about it?
You can, yeah. That is a, let's see. The check depends on what it is. You could do a religion or arcana check.
They are the same for me, so we'll run with arcana. Don't think I know anything.
Well, 10 gets you the bare minimum. You have heard rumors of tiny, undead, malevolent undead spirits in the form of these glowing balls, which love to infest swamps. You would know... they are... they can deliver a wallop via a blast of energy of some sort. And clearly they can fly. Something you can observe.
Yeah.
And the bare minimum gets put onto the tracker.
Not something that can be reasoned with.
I think he'll do two things. The one that he might be able to see, number 2, he will cast Vicious Mockery at it and just start, basically cussing at it, I suppose. And then he's going to hold his breath and go under the water.
Ooh. Oh boy.
Nuts.
The DM is 2 for 2 on rolling nat 20s on these, or 2 out of my 3, I guess, I had the Will-O-Wisp attack. It stands firm against your mockery. All right. That doesn't require a check or anything to go under the water. You do note that at least from some distance away, you see at least one more nasty-looking corpse lurking under the water. Covered in all that bile. It's almost difficult to make out, but you see it covered in rotten things, but it looks similar to the one that just climbed above onto the boat.
Okay.
Alaric.
I'm gonna attempt to poke the nearest drift globe with my rapier. And
Ooh, 24 will hit, yeah. Your magic rapier.
Yep.
That's a pretty good poke. You definitely find some way to stab this thing, and you feel like you have dealt it a very vicious blow. It seems to have dimmed quite a bit.
Okay, and then he'll yell over the side, Alaric, go help, or Matthias, go help Lucian. And that will be...
Who's controlling who here?
Yeah.
Oops, I just skipped that one. The one next to you goes next, and it will attempt to retaliate in kind by shocking you with a 20 attack.
That is a dirty 20, I take it?
Yeah, that's dirty 20.
That is a hit.
Oh, for 5 lightning damage. That one, you did deal it such a blow that it's a very weakened spark of lightning. Almost the worst damage roll you could roll.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Actually, was it's number 2 I skipped. All right, well, number 2 will go after one of the rats up here. Or picking off all your crew. 10's actually not going to hit. Lightning goes wide. That rat actually ducks and covers. And then it's the rat's turn. They start squealing out delight. And by the way, they've probably established a pretty good rapport with Kovac for sure. Attempt to stab the nearest thing. That is a miss. The captain yells to all of you and says, I can't move the ship. It's stuck on one of these bad bloody bastards. Need some help. Bill. He'll attempt to reach down and stab it. And does a bit of damage, but he's definitely calling for assistance, as there appears to be one of these bodies like lodged literally in his like controlling mechanism for the ship. Io.
Sorry, my earbuds just died.
Oh no.
Okay, so Lucian is still in the water.
Yes.
Would I'm gonna give feedback here for a second, sorry. Would I be able to tell if this boat would be able to hold the weight of a bear?
It's a good question. You'd think so. Especially with all the crew members you've got. You think you'd be able to, yeah.
Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do then is I think Lucian probably, since he's in the water, will be able to help the boat situation. I'm gonna go bear. And I'm gonna try to take out these globes.
Okay. Big bear.
Big bear. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I'll come over here and attack number 3.
Yeah, one's pretty damaged.
Let me pull up Io Bear. So we'll go bite on them.
Does the aft of the boat like start to lift up out of the water?
A little bit, yeah. You can definitely feel the weight distribution for sure. I am proud to declare that a 17 does not hit a small glowing ball of light.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty hard to hit these things.
Well, let's try my claws. And even worse.
The bear is stymied by a small glowy ball. Probably
Whoops.
aggravating too. Literally just floating in the air, but it's like dancing around very annoyingly.
I'm definitely going to try to move myself, obviously, without hurting anybody, down off the edge of the ship. But
Okay.
and that's my turn.
All right, Lucian, you are in the water. This is considered difficult terrain, not swimming thing, because it's still, you can kind of touch the bottom here, but it's still very uncomfortable. You're like up to your chest or shoulders. And right next to you, you see one of these creatures, which look like it's about to haul itself up on the ship, but then notice you nearby. something like
I am,
that.
I am standing though, right? I'm not prone.
Actually, you did fall off the boat, so you probably were prone.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you notice with the initial save, those of you that failed fall to prone. Those of you that failed by 5 or more fell off the boat. He is super prone.
So half my movement stand up. I'm going to throw caution to the wind. I won't protect myself, but I'll cast Mind Sliver on number 3 here, the Will-O-Wisp. He's been hit.
Yeah, hit the focus fire.
That's an intelligence save.
Sliver. Okay. Intelligent, are you, creature? Roll another 20. Oh, not quite. Not quite. Takes 3 psychic damage.
Yep.
It diminishes some more. Now it looks like it's actually just barely wobbling around. Which...
You know, that was a cantrip, so I'm gonna cast Misty Step, get myself back on the ship.
Ah, okay.
I'll go here in the front, hiding behind the bear.
That's good. That's good play.
Yep, that's my turn.
All right, this one looks very sad that you're no longer nearby. So it will. It'll crawl up to the boat. I think that was its original plan. Get up there into Alaric's face, and you see what looks like just this rotting zombie-like corpse, but it is covered in just detritus and swamp matter and rotting vegetation and bugs squirming all over inside of it. And it's just got these glowing yellow eyes. And it actually just opens its mouth like in a really creepy unhinging jaw way, and it will vomit the contents of its stomach onto you, Alaric. And it includes undead leeches that attach to you. 11 undead leeches, which means you take you take 11 necrotic damage at the start of your turn, and the haunt gains that number of temporary hit points. As an action, a creature can remove or destroy the leeches from itself or an adjacent ally. It's just covered in these nasty creatures. Leeched. Leech symbol for that. But, we'll put the snail, maybe. Interestingly, there is no actual save for this, I believe.
The resistance might apply.
That's true. That does come into play. Yep, resistance is necrotic damage. You can only take half as much, and it doesn't start until your turn. So we'll have to remember. But that is its turn. That dude is dead. Sorry, rat folk. This one will cry a little rat folk war cry and attempt to avenge his fallen compatriot. All right. It's hitting for not much, but they're trying. See that non-magical weapon unfortunately doesn't do as much damage. Matthias, in the water prone. You've been knocked up.
Okay. How much movement would it take to get onto the boat?
I would say treat that as difficult terrain as well.
Okay. Get on the side of the boat right there?
Sure.
Okay. And He's going to attempt to use his new toy on the zombie-looking fellow. It's a new toy. He doesn't know how to use it yet.
Yeah, not quite gonna connect.
So.
Alright, another rat trying to stab these lights, which they are not happy with. And you still hear the captain, although they're actually doing surprisingly good at hitting them, jeez. Is still yelling for help on to dislodge or kill the one that's stuck in the rudder. So the rats are doing a little bit of damage. Torben, despite your rolling of a 2, you went faster than 2 of the fucking corpses.
All right. So Torben's gonna stand up and kind of jump towards the side of the boat, yelling for Bahn, not seeing him under the water.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He is going to yell out in rage and come around swinging at the undead thing nearest here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's use a raid.
Nice.
Oh, that's a crit. Put it on the board.
Yeah. Look at that.
Oh my dear goodness.
Sweet.
That is a mega hit. I am pleased to announce I believe this is Torben's first crit of the campaign. I do keep track.
Hey, keep rolling two twos in a row if this is what's going to happen.
Right?
Right.
For 22 damage. We need to get you a magical weapon, sir, because you are not satisfied with how your weapon appears on its exterior. That is still a monster amount of damage. And it does get to make a massive damage save as per our house rules.
Fun.
A con save with a DC of 15, which it fails. So if you have done this before or know about it, you can roll on our massive damage macro. You should have access to in the macro screen.
I bet it can't.
There you go. Can't take reactions to the end of their next turn. Good. Mark for that. Alright, that one takes a good walloping. And on that one's turn, you have completely drawn its attention. And it will do the same thing it did to Alaric with its first opening move. It'll just vomit out the contents of its rotting undead swamp stomach.
I think I want to move, actually.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
So let's see. I used half getting up. So I want to go... I've heard the call back there. So I'm going to move that direction.
Okay. If you move that far away, then it will turn its attention to the bear and vomit its leeches all over the bear.
Oh. Sorry, Dory.
Bear can take it.
It's all good.
So it's basically like a status effect it's inflicted you with. So the snail symbol for that. Although, you know what I should do is put a number on there, because that's the important part to remember. Although I can't do 2 numbers with this one, so let's put a 1 for 11, I guess? I don't know. Or Alaric's is 11.
It's 5. It's 5.
Or 5, you're right, it's 5. Thank you.
So do I take damage right now?
At the start of your turn. Until somebody uses an action to get them off, basically. All right, and then this one is tangled up here. However, it's still within reach of the captain. Not quite within range to be able to vomit its leeches, but we'll say it can still try to take a swipe with disadvantage. A 12 is not going to do it. You can tell it's literally tangled up in like the rudders, and it's like caught on there, but it's trying to get at him, and he's yelling for help because he can't get this boat moving. And sure enough, at the end of the round, you see another one of these bodies rises up out of the swamp. And the captain yells for assistance. That one gets added to the initiative order. And we start with this wisp, who murdered one rat. And we'll now try to go for the other one. Well, they have a crew left over. Ooh, that is a terrible miss, though. That one also dodges and weaves. We start with Bahn. You are under the water currently. The swampy water.
Yeah, I
a
take
lot
my
of sounds.
corncob pipe and I stick it up out of the water and I start to swim toward the back of the boat. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30.
Bahn slowly emerges, hat like just appears out of the water.
Yeah. I
Knife between his teeth.
hop out for a second, I guess, and I'll try to vicious mock the haunt.
Look where
You look like a fallen log.
Yeah. Wisdom.
Hey,
It feels
Two whole damage.
It feels a little sad about that, yeah.
disadvantage on its next attack.
Which it's restrained, so just super disadvantage. All right. So Alaric, you take 5 necrotic damage at the start of your turn because of your resistance. And you see that somehow like the creature seems to glow a bit, and it gains some of that life energy.
Gonna attempt to finish off that wisp.
Yeah, still a very weakened wisp. 19 does hit. And your magic rapier manages to skewer it right in the middle, and it kind of does. It was been dancing around a lot, and as soon as you stab it, it stands perfectly still, and then it just disintegrates into little itty bitty particles.
One down. That's nice.
Yeah. All right, the one that just recently stood up starts trudging its way towards the boat. Is only, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20. You notice these things are faster than the average zombie, and they appear completely unimpeded by the swamp. However, it does take it a little bit extra movement to get up onto the boat, so that is all it can do. I mean, technically in dash, but whatever. In there for now. Go to a wisp. Keep wanting to say a wasp. Who will turn its attention towards the juicy giant bear nearby. Attempt to shock you, Torben. Oh my goodness. I don't think that one's hit yet. Absolutely, electricity just comes off and some of your hairs are sticking straight on in. And these rats are now feeling a little more emboldened, although they were already attacking decently well. I'm trying to swap back and forth, but I might stop doing that because there's a lot of things I'm swapping between.
I was curious if that was a macro that was doing it, or if you're doing
No, I was trying to do that real quick, but it gets really difficult when you have, especially with these campaigns, we've got like a million, sheets. That one's a miss. I'll prepare when it's y'all's turn. I'll prepare to my next one, but then it throws me off if somebody attacks a different target. Then I'll be like, oh, I gotta make a save, so I gotta switch back. Trickier. And the captain is like, yes, come on, Torben, was it? Let's get this thing out of here. We gotta go. More of these will come. Forgot to give him advantage because that one is restrained. It will attempt to stab. Haunt down there. Hey! Feeling emboldened with your 6 damage. He does not have magic weapon, however. Alright, Io.
Okay, we are getting overrun, so I want to...
You take 7 necrotic damage at the start of your turn.
Okay.
As per the leeches. You
And
see,
they're just on there?
somebody has to spend an action getting them off, basically. It doesn't require a check or anything like that, but says it requires an action, which is kind of similar to if you were on fire. Basically, you have to spend an action like patting the flames.
Okay. Well, I'm a little busy trying to eat this guy in front of me, so we're gonna take a bite out of crime here. Hopefully. Oh, it's a terrible roll.
It is, and these are not normal zombies. These appear to have very hardened exteriors, almost like, rotting wood and chunks of plant life and things, almost to give it a natural armor.
All right, well, I'm gonna try my claws on him then. 24?
Yes.
Sweet. 13 slashing.
Oh boy. Okay. Take 10 hit points and then some. You do note that the slashing damage seems to do full damage to it. You're able to scrape off a lot of its chunky exterior.
And I'm gonna stay right there.
All right, Lucian.
The guy that's on the rudder there, number 1, is he half on the boat? Can I see him?
You could see him just enough to target him, yeah, because he and the captain are able to hit each other, so it would be a little trickier given the distance and the angle, but you would be able to... You have line of sight, I'll say that. And normally you might have disadvantage, but because it has the restrained condition, that would cancel it out.
Probably got a high con. I gotta clear the ones off the boat too. So I'm gonna twin Tasha's Mind Whip. One on number 1 and number 4 is the other one. This guy here.
Yeah. Tasha's Mind Whip.
Can you hit show spell description?
I can.
Thank
Yep.
There you go. Action. Boy, okay.
Oh man, 3d6. You got a 9. That's a bummer.
Yeah. Terrible.
Well, that's exactly average, maybe a little below average.
There's a
But the potential.
That the potential's there, yeah. All right, intelligence save. So number 1 first. I don't think restraint doesn't need it until saves. And number 4. Yikes! Yeah, not the smartest rotting swamp corpses. They both take a full 9 damage. And can take reaction to the end of its next turn. On its next turn, it must choose whether it gets a move, an action, or a bonus action. It's like a temporary slow spell almost.
poor man slow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Boy, it gets it gets tricky to keep track of all these separate
I know.
debuff effects, but I will do my best.
Well, that's why I targeted number 4, so he's gonna either move and not attack, or So.
Yeah.
That was my thinking.
Yeah, that's solid. skull symbol on there. Okay. I can remember that way. All right, pretty effective though. You see some nasty bits falling out of their heads, I guess. And that number one that's stuck in the rudder is getting pretty damaged and messed up. Otherwise, you guys are kind of spreading the damage around all these different corpses. I'm still not sure how we even got 9.99. It's supposed to be their dex right there. They don't have a 99. Oh, anyway. This one will... I guess Alaric's been the main focus of its ire. Matthias hasn't hit it yet, so it will keep hitting. Actually, it vomited leeches on you last time, so I'll just slam you this time. Alaric, or try to... Oh, but it's going to go wide, and I roll a friggin' 2. Nowhere near hitting. Yeah. Oops, I forgot to... Charge my leeches is not to get... A rat is locked in. Torben, do you have anything to say to these rats as you come into the battle? You notice one of them, they've survived pretty admirably, although one died instantly in the fight.
No, he's pretty tunnel vision. He caught the the help with the back, and he's in rage tunnel vision right now.
True. Yeah, you are raging. Okay. Otherwise, they feel pretty confident in trading blows with these things. They've got the moxie. That's what they've got. They've only got daggers, but they got the moxie. 17 is not going to hit, fortunately, for that one.
There's nothing but bear roars at the front of the boat and the back of the boat.
That's very true. It's barely contained chaos. Matthias.
All right. He sees the boss in trouble, so he's going to spend his action removing leeches.
Yeah. That's why you have NPCs to do these kind of things, I think. Remove those leeches.
Yeah. And treating them like escargot, just ripping them off and just chowing them.
Oh, nice.
Anything but jerky. Anything but jerky.
Even the corpse is like, damn.
So, get fully on the boat.
Yep.
There we go.
All right, the rats totally forgot they have freaking back tactics because Kovac's not with us to remind me. Advantage on this. The other one didn't because it's but he died, but this one does.
Oh, which one? Wait, which one?
This.
I didn't see it yet. Oh,
that's one of your allies.
Sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
It's the allies. Never mind.
Yeah. The allies have back tactics. Doesn't help though. 17's still not gonna hit. They're cursing, but they're doing their best. They're trying to get at these floating balls of light. Torben.
All right. Assuming might risk opportunity, but I'm gonna keep.
Indeed, you will. This will take advantage of it because nobody else is moving away from it. Heyo, 20.
Yep, that'll do it.
9 lightning damage.
Just a little tingle.
Yeah.
All right, and he will reach the back. Can I swing, overhand swing down with the maul there?
Yeah. And you've got advantage because it is restrained.
Oh. Extra fun.
And you got some help with the advantage for sure. 17 does connect. Uh, 15. Once again, you notice these things are not taking quite the full damage that you would hope, but this one does appear to be very, very injured and flailing about. It's just slightest bits of pieces of it stuck to it, stuck to the ship, but the captain yells out a promising yell to you. That's it!
Is there anything with your Ancestral Guardians there going off too?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you. Actually, Oh, it's the like puke up the leeches isn't attack, and it's an attack. It's just it happens, right?
The leeches, they just happen, yeah, but they do have normal attacks.
Well, I was just thinking, it would have hindered it on doing that to IO, but it just makes a disadvantage on attacking others.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The target. Oh, and that target has resistance. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, that's really good. But yeah, the leeches were not a attack roll, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't look like this one's in a position to attack other targets, regardless. But that's a good thing to remember. Is that so? If I were to so for example, since you just hit this number 1, if this number 1 were to target the rat, then all of that would come into play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for the reminder. Yeah.
I wonder if in-universe creatures know that, if they feel that somehow. Is that manifested?
So I think at this level, they don't manifest, and then it's like level 7 or something that they become like spectral visible and like provide harassment in addition.
Okay. It is that one's turn next. Now this one is affected by a couple things. It's restrained, and it also has the that mind whip debuff thing on it. But all it needs to do is attack, so I think it's still okay there. But it would attack with disadvantage. And as I mentioned, it's not. Yeah. And it's not in a position to do its Vama leeches, and it will gleefully target the bear, is the one that last targeted it. But we'll try to hit you with disadvantage. And that saved a crit, but a 19 might still hit you. That was a good damn roll.
Yeah, it does.
But it did save you a crit.
Yeah. I noticed you mentioned it looks like all of those things have a .99 for their...
You're right. I'm not sure why it did that.
Anyway, sorry. That was unnecessary, but...
Oh, I bet because it's got a minus modifier. And the game doesn't know how to do that. So it literally does .99. But then it should have gone down. Yeah, that's weird. It shouldn't be winning any tiebreakers, and it should just be .00. Good to know. I mean, that's the first time I've had a negative modifier. All right, so be aware when I hit this button, it might include the crit number, because I don't know if it knows not to do that. It does know not to do that. Okay.
Cool.
For 9 bludgeoning, but you're raging, so.
Oh.
It is less than that. And it does appear to be quite injured. Number 3, I forgot what was affecting number 3. I think it can't take reactions. It will attempt to attack the Io bear. About a 20 for 18 bludgeoning damage, almost max damage. Wails with just a super overhand slam attack.
Ouch.
Yeah. We've seen a full range of their damage, I think. And Number 1 wisp is still... Boy, this wisp came in... They came in so hard, and they haven't hit... Except for that one reaction. Attempted to... attack that rat next to it. 20 is going to hit. Its luck has run out, and only 8 damage still fries this poor rat absolutely to the ground. And you see as a very creepy bonus action, it targets a creature within 5 feet of it has 0 hit points and is still alive. We'll just say that it somehow left this one still alive. Oh, the target's seen a DC 10 saving throw. Oh, that's interesting. Try that. It did not have advantage, so it does fail. So you see it, basically, one of the rats goes to the ground unconscious, and this thing seems to hover over it very rapidly and kind of glow red, and then it just, that gasping rat just absolutely expires.
So sad.
I only gained like 1 hit point doing that, but I just thought it was really cool to be able to do that. Bahn.
Barely had a chance.
Yeah.
Continuing to snorkel through the water. He's gonna come up here and try to pull at the legs of the thing to get it off the rudder.
Okay, you are probably the worst person to try this, but I respect the hustle. Give me a strength check.
All right. Okay.
You basically unrestrain it
Now,
from its predicament.
strength or athletics? I'm shopping. My strength is a -1. Athletics is a 0 because of jack of all trades.
That's interesting. I'll let you do athletics. I'll give you the +1.
Okay. I'm gonna put my feet on the edge of the boat after grabbing a leg and start yanking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
18 is very
18.
good, but this was an extremely difficult.
Okay. All right.
I hate to burst the bubble because you were so excited
It's okay.
about it. It almost you feel like it moved just like a little bit, and you're like, oh, almost there. You know what? You do a little bit of damage to it. But you chop off, like you break off a little bit of pieces from it.
I fall backwards into the water.
Yeah, you come off with like part of its arm or something.
Yeah.
And at the top of the round, as I forgot to mention, another body rises up, and the captain, is really like, we gotta go.
That's the end of my turn.
All right. So that one's looking very, very damaged at this point. Alaric.
We're gonna stick with the rapier. It's been working pretty well. Gonna stick this guy right here.
17 will hit. 10.
Good solid poke.
That does do some good solid damage. You guys have been spreading this damage out amongst my putrid haunts. Alright, this one's turn finally comes around again. This is the one that can only do a move, action, or bonus action, which was a good move, because now it is remarkably slowed down. So it will move here, but because of its Mind Whip, that's all it can do. So it moves into position and becomes imposing. These wisps are unfortunately having an absolute field day with the rats. 14 unfortunately does hit. And 11 lightning damage, it loses another rat. Like, no! Our only weakness, 2 will-o-wisps.
We're going to be pulling this barge ourselves here.
Bahn is going to be working the boat.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed your 2 days.
That's half of Bahn's hit point.
of peace.
Bahn stayed in the water.
I'm not going up there. I'll let that all those rats will die before I get up there. And then this rat is finally going to use its action to just disengage, and it will I guess it'll run back here and help, like, just get ready to deal with this, because at this point it's like, we gotta fucking get out of here. The captain will try to stab a dagger to that haunt, and that is a crit.
Yay!
Yeah, for 8, and the captain's a little bit better, can do a little bit of sneak damage on it.
Which also crits.
Which also crits, thank you. Excellent.
2 ones.
However, yeah, that was enough to actually destroy this creature. Alright, we can get out of here on my next turn. Just stay
Vaughn,
alive.
you might regret not being on the boat now.
Yeah. Basically, he turns to you and says, "Get up here. We're getting out of here." Because these things aren't going to stop spawning. All right, Io.
Okay, so I'd like to try something different. Since we are moving.
Oh, take 7
I
necrotic damage
just
first,
use-
if you would please, from the leeches.
7, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I try to take my snout and basically just shove 2 of these things off the side of the boat so that we can get motoring?
I believe there are some rules for that. What about motoring? Let's see. Because we can either do a grapple check, right? Or does it have to be a grapple? Is there a shove?
Yeah, it's a shove.
Where's the shove?
I think it's a contested check. I'm not.
Yeah. Just a straight strength, or probably athletics versus
Tell you in 1 second.
you. They don't have.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't think these guys have athletics anyway. It's not gonna matter.
The attacker has disadvantage on its strength.
Contested
Okay.
athletics check. Yeah. So
Okay. So yeah, you can use your action to attempt to shove, and because you are larger, I don't have a problem with you trying to target 2 of them. I would say if you're trying to do 2 at a time, I would probably give you disadvantage, however, and they both get to roll their checks separately.
Ooh.
Or you can choose to do 1 and just do it straight.
I'll try to at least get 3 off the boat for sure.
You can try to shove 2 of them off with disadvantage with 1 action.
Okay. You know what? Big risks. Okay.
can I negate that disadvantage?
You'll have to remind me what your powers are. Or put them in
It is restore balance.
advantage or disadvantage. You can use your action to prevent the roll from being affected by advantage or disadvantage. I would allow it. Yeah. Can see through the chaos and call out the proper calculations for the bear to be able to shove 2 rotting corpses off of the ship properly. It's very Tom Cruise Minority Report.
Yeah.
Love it. So am I just rolling straight strength?
I like it, yeah. Or athletics if you have it, I guess. But
It's athletics, yeah. It's yeah, you make a strength athletics check contested by the target's athletics or acrobatics.
okay.
It's choice.
But it is the
Okay.
bear's stats I think you're rolling.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing like they don't have any other separate.
Yeah, so I think you
skills,
just
just
roll strength for that case.
Yeah.
Same thing for these guys, but I will have them roll. Oh dear. Well, it's contested. They could shit the bed. We'll see. This is number 3.
Oh my god.
And this is number 4. Oh boy. That one really plants its feet. One of them you almost like it teeters on the edge, and the other one is not even close.
You
and
just
this
see
is-
Io just sit down, covered in these leeches, trying to shove people with her snout. You just see her just sit back on her haunches and just kind of look at everybody around her, just going.
It's at moments like
Oh,
this I
man.
regret not giving out a bardic inspiration.
Yeah, that'd be a good one for it. Especially when they fail by 1. Yeah, it's a gimme. That was a good idea, though.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. These things are planting their feet. Lucian.
Yeah, I don't get another attack, right? Because that counted. Because I didn't.
I believe that, yeah, right, because that counts as a separate action, and you only get to attack
Okay.
with multi-attack if you're actually using the attack action.
Yeah.
Lucian.
Oh,
All three of these corpses are injured, at least somewhat.
I'm gonna. I will twin Dissonant Whispers on 2 and 4.
Ooh.
Oops. Wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom. This is 2. And this is 4. Boy, I am not able to save against your spells at all tonight. So that
Both
is
take 11.
Yeah, but then the real thing happens.
Run away.
Yeah, this spell's awesome. For you. They must use their reaction if available to move as far as their speed allows, which, because they're using their reaction, does trigger attacks of opportunity like crazy. So number 2 would go first, and because they view the swamp as safety, they leap off the boat. So number 2 would trigger attacks of opportunity from Matthias and Alaric.
Matthias will take a swing at him.
Okay. That does it. Throw a bit of damage. It hauls ass away. 30. And same thing with 4. We're gonna
That's the one Alaric will swing at.
roll a 1d2. 1 it goes left, 2 it goes right. Okay. I was trying to think of port and starboard, but then you guys are actually facing opposite way. It would be port, I think. Port is left of the boat if it were facing that way. So it's going this way. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Ends up hauling ass all the way down there. 15 does hit. For 12, jeez.
Dang.
Yeah, that one takes a good chunk of damage. It just like limps its way back into the swamp and looks...
And Io gets one as well.
That's true. Yeah, Io, you want to use a reaction
Okay.
and swipe at that one. That was a great use of Dissonant Whispers.
14?
Yes. Sure. Easier to hit than the wispy ones, for sure.
11 slashing.
Okay, and slashing does fall. Man, that one, you almost down it completely. It just got hardly, it just stumbles and like falls into the swamp.
See, you did push it over.
Yeah. Just slightly delayed.
Thanks for making me feel better.
All right, and I guess the effects wear off, so it tries to make its way back up. And 15, 20, 20, and it can make it back, so it's just its 1 speed. But all it can do is make its way back on its turn. Can't attack. Does it get its leeches back? That red is dead. We go to Matthias.
Who is going to take leeches off of Io.
Ah, just official. Get out your mop or something.
It's the snack bar for him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's picking them off and chewing on them. I forgot that. Yeah, it's super gross.
It was sweet, then it was gross.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Especially in the fur and all that. It's just a mess. So.
Fortunately, you guys can't quite get away before this one gets on the ship. Boat. That's all it can do with its turn. That one is dead. We go to Torben.
Let's see.
So now you can see that this corpse has been dislodged and is dead. You see the captain is able to basically get the boat started once again, and you feel like it would be able to start going on its turn. However, as you can see, there are plenty of creatures still on the boat.
And you're still raging, right? Because you had attacked
Yep.
last time. Yeah.
Yep. Bahn, are you okay?
He's underwater. Like,
Oh, okay. Well,
but he doesn't seem like he's struggling.
okay. All right, we're heading back up here then.
I'm sure he's fine.
That should be the approach you take.
All right. Gonna go after this wisp here. I feel like I'm gonna go all out here. He's really worried about how many enemies there are, so we're gonna attack recklessly.
Boy.
Nice. Yes.
Oh, didn't even need it. Another crit for the barbarian. Look at this.
Oh my goodness.
Holy guacamole. Yeah, 24. What I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Wow.
The only way that thing's still alive is because of the magic resistance, which you have seen it come into play. Yeah. That's what I say. 26. Yeah. So
24.
that does a good chunk of damage. And then it does have to make the save. The con save. Oops, that was a wisp, not the haunt. Which it fails, so once again you can roll on that massive damage table. Take reactions to the end of their next turn. So if you wanted to move, you could do that. Stay locked in, but it looks like you took a absolutely heavy blow to it.
Yeah, no, I'll stay there.
Right, that one's dead. Your haunt. This one will try to slam into Io Bear. But a 10. Whoa, sorry. Nope, ignore that. I rolled the Will-O-Wisp. Not bad. Ignore that completely. I ran the wrong sheets. About a 15.
Ugh. Yep.
Sorry. I just rolled the straight up wrong attack. 11 bludgeoning.
Okay. Io Bear is no more.
Ooh.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
So that's 2 off of the bear, and that would be 9 off of Io then,
Io
right?
proper, yep. I'm gonna try to. There's always a weird like space issue whenever you're going from one space to another. I'm gonna keep you guys melee distance. Does he get his leeches back? Not quite. We've got a Wisp versus Torben. Varian's probably not a fan of creatures that deal unconventional damage. And it has advantage because you recklessly attacked. Oh, but a terrible advantage roll. A 1 and a 5. That thing can't get heads or tails of you. Bahn. Back there in the water.
Emerging from the muck and mire, these swampy, mossy hands leech onto the, and he climbs up.
You see in a distance more of the like zombie heads start popping up.
Underwater, yeah. And he's like, "Okay, time to get out."
Yeah.
And
How scary can you be with a corncob pipe? I mean,
His bubbles come back popping out.
well,
of
it
it.
depends on which movies you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's he's going to look at the Will-O-Wisp here and curl his lip in disgust and cast Sneer. Which I think I need to go to my character sheet and actually do it from this one, and then I'm going to return my spell slot. So it's a 15 charisma save. Dang it!
Wow.
Roll a 17.
Yeah,
Okay.
straight up 17.
But he's still sneering. He's lips curled.
But the
in
sneer is real.
disgust. Yeah. That's the end of my turn.
All right, Alaric.
Alaric's gonna turn to Io, and it's like, I kind of like you better in this form. And give her a bardic inspiration. I think you can do more damage this way. And then he's going to try to finish off 2 with his pointy stick.
Oh, finish off. It's hubris. 14 does hit, though. For 6. It is looking pretty damaged. So far, you all are spreading out the damage between 2 and 3 pretty well for me.
Yeah, it's what I've got within range. So.
Yeah. 4 has to spend half its movement standing up because it literally fell over. It was so damaged. And now we'll slowly trudge. Basically only make it to here and look extremely wounded and pitiful as it tries to crawl back onto the boat. But not quite there yet. We've got a wisp who will now float over here, and it sees you, Bahn, trying to sneer at it. Attempt to zap you.
Ooh. 15 AC.
I have rolled
12 does not
remarkably
hit.
poorly for these wisps the whole game, which is... But man, when they
Much
hit...
like Torben's furry stuff, his bushy eyebrows are now
a little singed.
sticking out. Yeah.
Staticky. The rats will somewhat rally because they need to. Advantage, dagger. It's not going to hit. Captain. Advantage, dagger. And one will hit. And can add a bit of sneak attack damage on there to do some damage to these bastards. Yeah, I killed my family, you stupid glowing balls! I feel like the 2 different fights happening on both sides of the ship, too.
Okay, well, I am going to take my staff, and I am determined to kill number 3 before this fight is over. So I'm going to strike at him with a 20
Yeah.
for 1 bludgeoning damage.
Oh boy,
Good
here comes
lord.
Io.
Oh my god.
The bonkening.
And I only have 1 attack because we're level 4, right?
Yeah. I think druids keep only 1 attack. You've been bear too long. You're thinking bear form.
Yeah. And that's all I got in my pocket.
Alright, Lucian.
I am... Yeah, I'm going to hit number 3 with a Ray of Frost.
That'll hit.
7 cold.
Cool, damn. Alright, that one's also looking very wounded. You guys are doing
I'll
good
just
number on them.
tuck in here. Since my cover is gone.
Yeah. This one will, once again, try to slam into Alaric. Yet, has not been able to connect, I think. Okay. Matthias.
Is gonna attempt to use that Warhammer again.
17 will hit. 5. One's looking pretty messed up. This one has a couple targets. We're actually going to pull out the token fate to see whether it goes towards Torben or towards Alaric. Fate has chosen Alaric. This one will come up, and since it's a brand new zombie, it will vomit its leeches on you. Oh, only 4, which is only 2 leeches for you.
Yay.
Does on its turn. Torben.
All right. I think we're gonna keep up the reckless activity.
Yeah, that wisp was looking real bad. $19 does hit. And you smash that wisp. You caught it, and you bring your maul down and squish it against the ground, and just little bits of particles of glowing matter just dissipate.
Right. Did the ship start moving, or did the captain like use turn to attack?
You know what? You're right. It did use its turn to attack, didn't it? He did. The ship has started moving at this point. I can't represent that very well on this map, but
yeah.
Well, actually, I can if I move everybody else down a bit. Let's move this one down to like here.
Nice.
Yeah. So obviously all the creatures on the boat are still on the boat, but you all are now moving along, and so you feel like you won't have any more spawning problems, but you just have the problems with the creatures on the boat.
Okay.
And it's, you're on a swamp, and he even mentioned the fact that you're not going to be like cruising along. Like, you got to go at a pretty steady, safe speed to, ironically, avoid any places to crash into, but apparently it can still happen. All right, this haunt will try to slam into Io. 19. I think your AC is actually pretty stellar.
I'm a 19. Oh. Yeah.
That
so it hits.
ties 13 bludgeoning damage. Boy, these things can hit like a truck, though. That wisp is dead. We go to Bahn.
Now that he's out, he sees Torben on the other side of the will-o-wisp. He's gonna pull out his rapier and attempt to hit it. He has pack tactics.
Yep.
It's called blindsider. 24.
That'll hit.
I'm going to use psychic blades, so I spend a bardic inspiration. And we add that.
Holy crap.
So it's 11 piercing. I rolled max damage on the thing. It's
Yeah,
11 piercing
you did.
damage, which I think is probably reduced. But I think the 10 psychic
But the
blades would go through.
Yeah, it
completely.
does. And honestly, with that combination and for it being injured from before, that is enough to destroy it.
Yeah,
Bahn, low-key, has
Bahn.
been taking no damage because he got knocked into the water, ironically, and then just come up and been a murder machine.
And he'll look to Torben and go, "That's how you do that." That's the end of his
No
turn.
pressure, but Team Wisp has been outperforming Team Haunt down here. Alaric, you take 2 necrotic damage.
Okay. All right. And we're going to keep working on number 2.
20 hits. And that is enough to finish off this haunt, finally.
Okay.
Then that one's too far behind, so it's effectively on from here. These rats are just gonna stay back here now. They're not fucking around. I guess they actually can shoot. They've got crossbows. Not with advantage, but that hit anyway. The captain can fire a crossbow while he's steering.
That's badass.
Yeah. Probably disadvantage,
Han Solo
but
stuff.
I'll allow it. Oh, and a 24 is going to hit.
Nice.
What an awesome shot.
Well, pack tactics, so it's just an even roll.
There you go. Very true. Io. Number 3 is looking very heavily injured. Number 5, unfortunately, hasn't been touched yet.
Okay.
Throwing them off, I will say throwing them off the boat is still on the table if you all wanted to try to perform this.
Nah, I'm gonna Thorn Whip number 3. With a 22.
Yeah, that'll
or
hit.
6 piercing.
Does that allow you to move them or just pull them?
Just pull.
Just pull.
Okay.
Yeah, just pull.
Pull 10 feet. Okay. All right. That one looks almost dead, Lucian.
Ray of Frost again.
Steal the kill. Steal the kill.
11.
11's not gonna hit though. Damn. Frost's gonna go wide.
All right. Yep.
Dead Matthias. You on leech removal duty?
He is on leech removal duty.
All right, he is gonna be one full happy dude.
Belly's all distended.
Yep. Taunt will attempt to slam Alaric.
Just shield, just pushes it down.
Yeah. Geez. Torben.
Right. Getting the wisp gone. I'm gonna charge down this way. Wild swing here.
Is there like
Number
foam
5.
coming out of like Torben's like at the sides of your mouth?
I think he's pretty stoic when he rages, right?
Yeah.
18 will hit.
Like an eerie calm.
Very serious and focused.
Right. And then I'm going to use Bear Hug
Ooh.
to try and wrap this guy up.
Nice. You can grapple the target damage. You can. Oh, so this is just. So grapple is against its athletics. Then is this a
Athletics
contested
or
check?
acrobatics?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Nice.
Well, luckily your raging advantage helped out there because somehow this thing was going to be so strong and bulky as to almost evade your grip. You just wrap a bear paw around it.
All right. I'm not sure if that one's contested, but I'll take it since we don't have to worry about that. Since
That's true. Yeah, the way it worded it, it does make an unarmed. Oh, I see. You're right. I read it wrong. You're making an unarmed strike, so because you hit,
yeah,
you can grapple the target. You're right. I shouldn't have rolled anything. Okay.
that's okay.
I've not seen this ability before, so this is just.
Damage.
Yeah, it's a
It's
bonus. Right, you need to do damage as an unarmed strike. That would still do damage. Yeah.
So if you hit where it says Bear Hug, it should roll damage.
No, I don't think so. So,
It says in addition to dealing damage to it.
oh, in addition.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's not right. Which
Yeah, what happens if you do hit Bear Hug?
Unarmed strike.
that's I hit it and that's what it did.
Oh.
You hit where it says Bear Hug?
Yeah, and it just gave the rage damage.
So
I don't know what is.
Does your-
what
does
is
your-
unarmed?
Does your bear folk give you unarmed damage? Because some of the races have.
It does with bite. So So bite is the unarmed strike, or is the unarmed, but I don't like this wouldn't be piercing because that's what that's.
Strike. Okay, yeah.
You'd at least get your strength bonus.
That's
+1.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody gets some kind of default unarmed strike, and then monks get like extra one, like an extra damagey one.
Mhm.
Trying to look it up. I feel like everybody's like, it's like if you punch, it's like 1 or something.
Yeah.
I was just, I
But
thought
it
it was
doesn't
like
make sense
1d4, but is it
for-
just 1?
I think monks
You
are
have to be
1d4.
proficient in unarmed strikes, I think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Aren't
look it up, but I
proficient in
can't
their
find
own
it quickly.
fists? Oh no. Special training.
1 plus strength modifier.
That's what it is.
Okay.
So
Well, hell, your strength is 4, so that's 5, plus your
Yeah.
rage would be 7. That's 7 damage.
all right.
Yeah. 7 additional damage, and then you've grappled them.
With the intent to throw him overboard, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming I need to wait till next turn.
No,
unless-
well, it depends on how much movement you have.
I only moved 10 there, so
It just costs double movement to move basically somebody you're grappling with. So I think,
Alright.
yeah, you've got enough to just grapple, and effectively you just walk over close to the edge and drop them.
yeah,
I like it.
move back 2 steps this way and chuck him overboard.
Yeah, for sure. And because you're constantly moving, it goes. I like it. That was badass. I think Torben needs a point of inspiration between all the crits and that effective move right there.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
You have this one's still alive despite all odds, and will attempt to once again slam. This one and I have been locked in combat the entire time. 18, I think, is actually a miss against your.
Miss.
Yeah,
Yep.
your IO form AC is stellar. Bahn, you're trucking along. You've got one more corpse still on the boat.
Does it look really damaged,
Yes.
or okay? Then he had envisioned himself getting down on his hands and knees so they could try to push him over his back and then over the side of the boat. But if it's really damaged as he gets closer,
Steal,
go ahead.
Buck.
just try to kill it. So it's advantage because of the thing. 20.
Hell yeah.
And just to make sure he's going to use the psychic blades again.
They always underestimate the kobold. He just came onto this boat and just fucking murdered shit.
For 18 damage.
Yes,
Yeah.
you absolutely come up behind, and all you see is a rapier suddenly appear, like the blade sticking out of its mouth. And then as it falls down, you see Bahn just dripping in
Covered.
swamp gunk. Yeah.
The only way you can tell it's him is from the corn down pipe.
At one point, you think it's just another corpse has emerged, just a small, misshapen one. You ready your weapon, realize it was Bahn the whole time. Oh my goodness. And with that, we have taken care of all the hostilities. And the captain, you all are chugging along right now and says, "Well, that's part of the job, fortunately. Y'all did pretty well, though. I'll give you that."
Matthias will run over and grab the oars so we can get some extra speed.
Yeah, I might need some help over here. We lost a couple of good folks.
Sorry for your loss, Captain.
It's part of the job. Hard to make it through the swamp these days without something crawling up from the water, flying down from the sky.
Sky? What comes out of the sky?
He points at the glowing balls. I don't know where they come from, but they always come from above.
Just those.
You don't get
Anything
stuck.
else we need to know about?
Yeah. I don't think so. Sorry, you don't get stuck like that. That was just bad luck. We should have taken a break half an hour ago, so we will take a break now that the fight is wrapped up, and then we will come back in about 10 minutes.
Sounds good. Before we take a break, I don't know
Yep.
if it's happened to anybody else, but your audio has been staticky for me randomly.
Mine is?
Yes.
Yeah, me
Oh,
too.
dear. All right,
Yeah.
I will try and work on that.
Almost like a warble.
Okay, I'll see if I can plug it back in or something.
I thought it was my headphones messing up when I was getting glitches in the audio, but it sounds like
Let's testing. How do I sound right now? Testing.
Seems to be
Crystal
good.
clear now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
been good.
was
Yeah.
intermittent
5
before,
minutes.
but I'll say something if it comes back up.
Yeah, definitely let me know. I just go into my sound settings and disable and re-enable it, and it seems to. I have it even happened to myself sometimes where I hear other people sounding like that, and I go in and turn my speakers or my headphone, whatever, to off and on, and that seems to work in the actual software of the PC. So yeah. All right, we're coming back from our break, and I did forget to mention that in one of the mouths, when one of these creatures vomited all over all of you, you kind of sift through everything and find one of them does appear to have a magic ring, which you can identify because you get the benefits of a short rest while traveling over the next couple days. So you all can short rest and reveal that this ring is a ring of resistance, and it is of the poison type specifically.
Hmm.
It's got a amethyst jewel.
It's a real pretty ring.
I don't need it.
Does require attunement, whoever wants it.
If nobody else really does much, Bahn's gonna start looking at it real hard.
Go for it.
Yeah, I feel like that's one that like it's not any particular class or person, but pretty much anybody benefits from that. 'Cause if we're gonna take poison, it could be anybody.
Bahn slowly slips it on his finger. It's like a shining star in a mucky, dirty.
Mhm. Just a little bit of polish on it, and things right up.
Do we get benefits of like a Song of Rest or anything from Bahn?
I'm
Yeah,
just too distracted by
definitely.
the ring.
Which is fine. Yeah.
No, you can. No, you absolutely do it.
No. I mean, I was going to say he would be, but I think he would talk about how impressive he was at attacking the will-o-wisp and it would just be like him bragging about himself.
Which is weirdly
On brand.
inspiring for the rest of you. It puts you at ease somehow. That's a roll hit dice right there.
It is a
What's-
D6.
A D6? Oh,
Do we all roll
jeez.
that? Do we roll our own d6 for that?
That's how I
Is that
like
what
to do
we've
it,
done?
to
Yeah,
see how
that's-
people
Okay.
You know, yeah, we
interpret
do.
the song differently,
Alaric was not inspired by your tale. I got one extra point from
which
that.
Quite.
is on brand also.
Same.
Just rolling your eyes.
Because we're up here tanking these zombies, and it's
Jeez.
like, what?
Also, Bahn probably
Torben knows
doesn't-
how hard those will-o-wisps are, though. He liked it.
He smells like the swamp too.
Feel like you'd be playing an accordion on a river boat.
This particular, yeah. He usually doesn't play instruments, but he's pulled out a harmonica on
Break
this
out
one.
the jugs.
That's even
Cork
better.
out
Yeah,
pipes.
it's even better.
When Bond's not looking, Alaric comes up behind him and does prestidigitation just to get the swamp smell off of him.
And I think as Bahn has to help, he doesn't usually use it, but you see him using a lot of Mage Hand. During, to like pull the ropes and stuff. Yeah.
He's rowing with Mage Hand. That's hilarious. You know, just
It only takes another day or so to get out of the swamp, which you all are probably uneasy while still in there, but thankfully everyone's got their head on a swivel and Captain can make it through without bumping into any more problems. You do see, like, in the distance, some, shadows and lurches and things, but you're all moving at a swift enough pace to not get caught. And then you manage to reach a estuary or something where the swampland meets up with the river, and then you can cross over to the proper river Yashtala, which is a very major winding river that pretty much goes through most of the country. On the world map. Faster travel now. Several days of winding river travel have been blissfully uneventful. The riverlands are far cheerier than the swamp, and the river has been smooth and accommodating. Countryside is also beautiful out here, with rolling hills and deep forests, and nary an undead in sight. In fact, there's hardly any creatures at all. Only the occasional small village or homesteads, which Captain Shellshank refuses to stop at. With only about a day of travel remaining, you spot another riverboat headed in the opposite direction that turns towards your direction. It's not the first boat that you've seen, but all the other boats have stayed clear of yours until now. And Shellshank grows tense and calls out to all of you and says, "Unless any of you have a way with words, I'd maybe get below deck. The flag they're waving is that of the Red Goddess."
We'll strike our colors of Morgal, and put that up, and recommend that anybody that's not me and Lucian take cover.
The captain looks at you questioningly. Do you... Because normally I figure you both kind of downplay your countenance somewhat.
And that's when I just look at him. It's like, Captain, I think that my friend Lucian and I would be... You asked if anyone was good speaking, and Lucian's very, very good at speaking, and I pop my fangs, and I can be persuasive as well.
Bahn takes the mask charm that we got early into the thing and clicks it and pulls out the red ruby that he had from Felicia and the whip and kind of puts it at his side. And now he looks like an undead female also.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
The captain is like freaking out about all this. Like, what the hell is that? Who are you people?
Right,
But
Torben will just heed taking cover. So
I will take cover though.
The two bears are heading.
There's two bears
Yeah.
below
Just
deck.
Lay down.
Hey,
and
we
look
need
like
to poop for a second, so we have to shove them.
Look like a rug.
I don't go anywhere without my bearskin rugs.
All the comforts of home.
We're transporting textiles.
The ominous riverboat is decorated with numerous flags and pennants with the symbol of the Red Goddess, which is a dagger plunged into a blood red sun. And as it gets close, you notice that the figures manning the oars are skeletons. And there are a number of robed figures on board, including an imposing woman in blood red robes, who's definitely standing prominently. At this point, the ship pulls up to where it's maybe, 40, 50 feet or something, enough to where you could, yell across to each other. And she looks at all of you and says, "I am Sister Nera of Varshava. You will identify yourself, your cargo, and your destination before Marina."
Bahn, as the undead female, will say, his name's Militia. And we'll kind of just like be fingering the red ruby necklace and say that they are heading to, like, through the conversation, we know that Varshava is still kind of undead control.
Very
Also?
much so, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just say that we're heading to Varshava, and that as far as the cargo, he'll say there's no cargo. It's just them. She'll say
Right.
that it's just transport to Varshava.
Okay. And says, and looks at Lucian and Alaric as well. So, traveling on the river is very dangerous for your kind, is it not, my lords?
Yes, in fact, we were attacked by
Sorry about
bolt
that.
of.
Torben's just punching things down. What is that?
Yeah, we were attacked by a boat of humans hunting undead. If you were heading that way, I would be careful.
Roll a deception check with advantage.
Thank God. The advantage.
Yeah. She nods thoughtfully and says, "Yes, it looks like your boat has taken on some damage. It is partly why we are out here, to try and keep the rivers well maintained. There is, of course, much river to cover. Perhaps you would be interested in such duties in the future once you reach the city."
We have our own things to take care of.
She kind of turns to you and cocks her head, but just smiles and says, "Well, yes, don't we all?" She seems to linger for a moment, but then nods and thinks better of it. "Very well. Praise the goddess."
One more to go.
Yay. Blood for the blood god. Otherwise, your ruse seems to be pretty effective. And yeah, a few times the bears make noise down there, but she does that funny like turn and then moves on, and that ship continues on, and the captain is just pretty much silent during the whole exchange. Says, "Hi. Oh, that was really nice. Good job. I am terrified. You're not actually Morgau, right? Please don't eat us."
About that 15 gold.
Yeah. How's to cover the funeral expenses now? Once known, and you continue on for about another day of travel until you arrive in Varshava. Once known as the City of Horses, Varshava is now firmly under the conquest of Morgau. 10 years ago, the Hussars of Krakovar rode out to meet the Ghost Knights in the field of battle. They were slaughtered, and the city surrendered the next day. This is information you learned from Archduke Avgost. The city's proud World Tree Temple was razed to the ground, and in its place, a grand blood cathedral, the Red Goddess, is under construction. The city streets are heavily patrolled and guarded, but the river much less so. Captain Shellshank can deftly steer the Swamp Rat toward a dilapidated abandoned dock. Even the air around Varshava feels heavy and oppressive.
Alaric's having nightmares.
Yeah.
Hardcore nightmares.
Yeah, first time back, and the rest of you probably see a visible effect on your normally together friend. The captain asks basically if your business is concluded, but he does offer he can stay a little bit in Varshava for the right price.
How long's a little bit?
It depends on the price. You can negotiate, I think.
Can you take us farther than Varshava?
Not on the
Closer
boats.
to Yarisburg.
Yeah,
Okay.
where you guys need to go. The river, as you can see on this map, continues to the west. And you guys need to go southeast, so you're looking at a land journey for the rest of this. But he is offering... He's mentioned he's offering to stay here in case you want to try to reconnect with him on the journey back. Thank you,
That's over
Lawler.
a week.
Yeah, we don't know how long we're gonna be.
Right, yeah, you don't. So you could just try and guesstimate. But he says, basically, he wouldn't want to stay longer for than a week. Varshava is obviously not a place he wants to hang around in, but he likes all of your moxie and what you all are doing, so...
I think Bahn would consider them a risk, actually, because they know more about their stuff. And even though they're invested, like, wanting to help, if they get captured or something, they're going to squeal. So I think Bahn would actually encourage them to just take off as quick as they can, probably.
Okay. Fair enough. They will gladly do that and not hang around for too long. He will spend basically the day there to like resupply and pick up some more crew to replace the ones that died. And maybe some of them just kind of like went unconscious and he was able to revive them and they're just severely traumatized instead of dead. But he will have to spend at least one night there. You all can ask about where that tavern is that Avgos mentioned.
The Bleeding Crow.
Yeah, Bleeding Crow. Yeah, and he knows, actually, Alaric, you would know where that is even better than the captain would.
Yeah.
And you would know that, you know what the state, you don't know what the state of Varshava is right now, but based on your memories, you know that the Bleeding Crow is in the dock area and is caters to working class and dock workers. And you don't know what the situation would be in there, but you just remember, oh dear, again?
Yeah, they're intermittent is the problem.
Interesting.
It's almost like it's a Discord connection problem.
It might be, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely heard it.
Okay, I am. Let's see. Gotta actually unplug and plug it back in. How do I sound right now?
Cleaned it up.
Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. Tentative. This is a big bummer for my expensive microphone. Maybe I've got too many windows open.
You never have too many windows open.
You'd think so. So you can take them right to the Bleeding Crow Tavern.
I think Bahn would also say, we should probably use our disguises as much as possible as we're moving through here. So put on your Jackie O glasses and the new cloak we got you, Io, and I think I'll probably try to use this charm again when possible. But it's nothing fancy. He's just trying to blend in with whatever other normal races he happens to see. And in fact, if rat folk seem to be able to come and go without too much trouble, he'd probably turn into a rat folk.
Okay. Yeah, to an extent. You just notice that it's very, I mean, it feels like a fascist state, really, with like just police forces everywhere and, curfews in place and all that. It's just very authoritarian.
What are they using for guards? Is it human conscripts? Is it undead?
Mostly just regular folks, to your dismay. actual undead are pretty rare. It's a lot of just guards with like certain badges or cultists or agents of the Red Sisters faction as well.
He'll turn. It's like it's been a long time since I've been home, and he'll turn and it's like the orphanage, Erica. The orphanage was over here before the city fell. Do you remember?
The rest of you are
I
not.
think
Yeah.
I think the rest of the group would kind of maybe look, and you just see Io just kind of gently put her arm around Alaric's shoulder and just say, that was a long time ago. Why don't you take us to the tavern?
Okay. Closes his eyes for a second. Yeah,
Real nice
remember
place.
Yeah, it's like it's over here 3 blocks to the left.
Is the rest of the geography the like I don't know, rolling hill type stuff that you were describing previously?
For that was kind of while you were going down the river specifically. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And so like is this like nestled in like fields or hillsides or
It's at a crossroads between where a river runs through it, and then there's a pretty big hill and mountain range kind of to the northeast. And when you all came in, you could pretty clearly see a large, imposing, some kind of structure built on top of a hill, kind of overlooking the city. And it's decorated with like symbols of the Red Goddess up there.
That was not here before.
Yeah. In fact, Alaric, you probably remember that being the site of a graveyard.
Yeah. And it's, as we're walking through, and he goes, and Matthias, his house was over here, and it's just a raised block. It's kind of like the sad tour of pointing out of where buildings
The
were,
saddest tour.
and and Matthias is just, he's quiet. He doesn't have a lot of emotion in his voice. It's just pointing out, and that was there, and it's like he's not focusing on the buildings around. It's like he's seeing the city as it was, but it's not there.
Alaric, you can have a point of inspiration for me putting you through a traumatic event.
Thank you, sir.
DM is going to love to do. The tavern smells like stale beer and old smoke. Patrons are mostly working-class fisherfolk and dock workers, all of whom eye you all with a pretty wide berth, using disguises. So are Alaric and Lucian, and Alaric, you might be too out of it to do it. Are you trying to actually look more like your vampire side, or just like you belong there, or?
Alaric's he's not popping any of the vampire, any intimidation at all.
Yeah.
He's back home. Matthias is staying close to him, just kind of trying to be a little supportive, but he's kind of like in between Io and Matthias, of definitely having like that 1,000-yard stare.
Mm-hmm.
He's not fully here. And keeps referring to her as Erica.
Despite the grim atmosphere, the bartender is a small, bespectacled man who glances at you all nervously. And you were given a name.
Olaf
Form.
Born.
Form.
I help you out?
Is Olan working today?
He nearly drops the glass. What do you want with him? Who are you?
We were told he mixes the best drinks this side of the
Mississippi.
you Stura River.
He eyes you with some suspicion and kind of almost takes a few steps backwards. Glances around nervously. I don't want any trouble.
Did we say we were here for trouble?
Have not been home in a very long time. Do you still serve blood mead?
Yes, a little bit. It's hard to get supplies in, of course.
If you have one, I would like one, please.
He nods and starts to mix the drink together.
Tell him about our friend. Wasn't it, maybe I'm confusing it. Was it not the Archduke that told us to come here?
Yep.
Yeah. And he'll beat around the bush of like the high status of the person.
You can tell this person seems to be too nervous to pick up on your entendres and codes, and it just very paranoid.
He'll pull out one of the wanted posters of the Archduke.
Okay.
That's like been around or whatever. And he'll just kind of slide it onto the table and he'll say, "Yeah, have you ever seen this one?" And he'll roll his fingers over it.
Give me an insight check.
13. Nice and average.
You watch his face carefully, and you definitely see that he recognizes that figure completely. But you see he tries to hide it. He says, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. I don't want any trouble. I don't know."
He'll fold it up at the same time and he'll say, "Well, we were encouraged to come see you in particular. There's no reason to be worried."
Give me a persuasion check.
Come on, +9.
Ooh. Oh, a 29 on persuasion. You see his entire body relax.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, right. Oh, sorry. Yes, I am Olenforn. I own this establishment. I didn't realize you were, agents.
Say less.
Yes. Please, you, come with me. And he leads you to motions for you all to come in a black room. He does serve Alaric his drink, and motions you all to basically come into a back room, which everybody's still giving you all kind of a pretty side eye of having this large eclectic group come into this area, which does not exactly get many visitors from outside of the region. The back room is cramped and musty. Lanterns hung at intervals along the walls provide a muddy illumination, as there are no windows to let in either light or fresh air. Several figures are seated at the table, at a table, angrily discussing with one another. They turn to face you all as Olin says, I think these folks can help us. I believe they're sent by Avgost himself. Perhaps has returned. He kind of motions you all forward to the table. You just see several, what look like just elderly humans seated around.
Might not be fair. I think Bahn's going to drop the form of the rat folk.
Okay. From a rat folk to a kobold. Everybody is still like, ah.
Yeah.
Um,
And he'll sit down and just say, it's that it's been dangerous to travel as us. We are interested in helping, but we need some assurances of safety here too.
yeah, one of the older gentlemen kind of slams his fist and says, I've heard of these folks. The Morgal and the Imperium themselves been hunting them down. Undead killers they are. They all kind of slam their fists on the table in general jubilation. And finally, an elderly woman who's wearing many bracelets and rings and earrings seems to calm everybody else down. Says, I believe we can help provide some method of cover. We are part of a small cell in Varshava known as the Invictus. We help folks get around safely in here. There are not many friendly faces here in the city, but I think you will find them here in this room. We would be more, but we have some troubles of ourselves. If you would please help us, then we should be able to help you.
Bahn will look at Lucian at the mention of like the Underground Railroad type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe just kind of like nudge him a little bit.
Yeah, his ears perked up at that.
And Alaric, you at some point, if you snap out of your daze, you think you recognize this woman as a favorite of the town. She is called Lady Beston, although you're pretty sure she's not actually noble in any way. But just a friendly older woman who's kind of once a matriarch of the working class of the people.
Take him a minute as he gets about halfway through his meat. It's going to start kicking in, and it's like,
loosens him up.
Okay, it's like that helps bring him out of it a bit, and he'd go. Looks, and he goes. And he kind of give her just a head bow. Lady Beston, Matthias, and Alaric of the 4th Hussars.
My goodness, yes. Hi. You are alive. That is so good to hear. Oh, I so wish you hadn't come back, though. Things are not well, Alaric. I am
People need help.
Indeed, they do.
And we are here to help and to do harm.
I am so sorry about your sister, though.
Just kind of looks confused.
You didn't know?
Io positions herself directly behind Alaric to make eye contact with this woman. And I'm literally just going in a very nonchalant, hope hopefully Alaric doesn't see me kind of
Yeah.
way.
Okay. She just kind of smiles sweetly and says, "This is a very dark time for many of us, but there may be a chance to save some. The Red Sisters constructed a new blood vault out of a mausoleum just outside of the city. You've probably seen it, the garish thing, modeled after their one in Morgau. But since it was finished, we've had to provide tribute every month. Supposed to be random, but it's often the poor and the dissident who are targeted, and the strong and youthful. They come back shaken and weakened, but they always come back. Except this month. No one returned from the last tribute. Now Sister Alcava is rounding up more. It's only been 2 weeks. This keeps up, there won't be anyone left soon.
And that puts us in the timeline of the anniversary that we're trying to get to the ruins in time for, correct?
Well, in terms of the timing, yes, you're trying to make that, but she's just saying it's been
Instead of a month, they've increased their schedule, right?
right.
Yep.
Yeah, so said they were doing it every once a month, and now, first of all, the last time they did it, nobody came back, and then they just have started rounding up more people.
Sounds like they're escalating and prepare for battle.
Certainly a cause for concern. Oh,
How defended or have you been to this vault?
I have not. But those we have tried to speak to some of those who have. You must understand, Alaric, that there are many who have fallen under the sway of Red Goddess and our oppressors, and they greet them with open arms now. Truly, sometimes I fear we are a people utterly conquered in body and spirit. But not everyone. And those have reported that it's not in the city, so it is not as heavily defended as other regions would be. There is some large skeletal brute who guards the entrance. It is unfortunately all we've learned.
Has anyone been able to provide any sketches, maps, any other guards or number of people there?
I'm afraid.
Trying to get any sort of an intelligence briefing.
Yeah, you like snapped right into like planning
it's
mode.
Combat mode.
Yeah. She looks thoughtful and says, "It's been difficult. Those who come back often find their memories are not as clear. There are chambers and spikes and lots of bloodletting and creatures of death who operate facility. Don't think they ever saw the full facility themselves."
Have there been any nobility of Morgau seen here? A casual reference to vampires.
Right. In the city, yes, occasionally. But in the vault, I couldn't say. It's still.
Have you seen or heard of a Baron Nilo?
Of who?
Baron Nilo.
I don't believe so.
Alaric relaxes just a little bit. That would be his father.
Gotcha. He can offer to pay you all, of course. Don't expect you to risk your lives out of charity.
Do you have a safe place we could sleep?
Yes, we have a few safe houses throughout the city. I fear they may not be the height of luxury that Varshava should be able to provide esteemed guests.
What about magic malls? Like big magic hammers that a bear can wield.
That's an oddly specific request. I am afraid we don't have very many supplies. Perhaps in the dungeon you would find greater treasures.
Let's go then.
Onward!
Yes, we can help keep you safe and keep you secret here in the city. What is it that you were here for, if I may ask?
Special errand for the crown.
Well,
You best not. You would be better off not to know.
put you in danger. Very well. And they all have generous sacks of gems and gold coins that they are prepared to offer all of you for basically the mission of trying to just save people and also obviously find a way to somehow deal, and you all, obviously came up with some solutions, but some way of dealing with this vault that and kind of echoes what Avgoth said, which is hopefully something that doesn't result in like an all-out like statement of war or something that would really cause a huge rumble, but at least something that could stop this from happening in some way, however that may be.
How
Why do
many
you
silver
think,
coins do we have?
Go ahead, Lucian.
Yeah. I was just gonna. Why do you think production is ramping up? Do you think they're planning a big move?
It is very strange. We never heard anything about this in Orgau, but of course we don't get much news out of there anyway. I thought these things only had so much storage and so much of a schedule for blood and transportation and everything, but I admit I am not up on my blood logistical matters. But I assure you it cannot be good.
I wonder if it is being used immediately and not stored.
That is certainly a possibility, in which case the dangers within may be greater than we realize.
Well, regardless, in shadows we trust. That's just, that was one of Lucian's Underground Railroad signals to each other.
To your satisfaction,
just to give them hope.
They all repeat that, like, in a kind of mantra-like way, like, in shadows we trust. And
I was hoping.
A lot of them get very happy when you say that. Ah, yes, that I recognized your accent. Clearly heroes have come to Krakow this day. Thank you so much. And they are all willing to pay you as a group 2,000 gold pieces for this mission. Yeah, and you can tell this is a big summation of what they are doing, but they are not going to lose this opportunity for having you all show up like this. And it's basically, it would deplete their whatever meager funds they have for trying to help people and maintain safe houses and things. But they're like, this is the most important thing that we need right now is to be able to shut this thing down somehow. You can add that to your total party wealth. Unfortunately, Varshava is not a place where you could just be able to buy whatever you want. It's going to be very tricky, and there's obviously very high prices and limited supplies on everything.
Probably can't buy holy water.
Right. That would not be something, yeah.
It's banned. This is a dry town.
Yeah, you've crossed county lines, I'm afraid. What you can do is get the benefits of a long rest here in Varshava after your lengthy travel. Through one of their many safe houses, you've essentially contacted with their underground network.
Do we need our tokens on the map for that?
If you look on the left side and up, I've got your tokens all
Okay, gotcha.
kind of here in the upper left corner, so you can all click on your tokens and gain the benefit of a long rest.
I was zoomed way too far in.
Floating in the sea. Yeah.
I know this is silly. What's the weather like?
In the city,
Yeah.
gloomy.
Okay, that's. I was trying to get like the atmosphere
Yeah.
of like what kind of expectation. Okay, like San Francisco foggy type stuff, or
I could see that, although Varshava's not a coastal city necessarily, but for some reason there is kind of an oppressive, omnipresent fog, and yeah, it's almost very gothic.
okay.
Northern European cold rain.
Yeah, even like the architecture that they've been building is very gothic in style, and in fact, from a distance, you can probably see the construction of this grand cathedral, which looks just every bit like a stereotypical, just evil ass building of the Red Goddess. And with the knowledge of the location of where it is, they can help lead you out of the city, again, using these networks and cells to kind of move around very easily without running into any patrols or troubles along the way. Basically, like from the dock, you kind of hop, skip, and a jump down. You know, you don't go out the gates or anything, because those are obviously very heavily guarded and patrolled. So you know, kind of taking a little bit of a off the beaten path, roundabout way to go up the hills, basically to that building that you saw from the river. So the path leads up the hill to the cliffs overlooking the river, and there a looming edifice of stone that resembles a huge mausoleum seems to watch the city like a malevolent gargoyle. A cobblestone trail cuts through the trees and winds directly to the massive stone doors. Patrolling outside is a large skeletal minotaur wielding a great axe. I believe with that, we are going to end this episode of Empire of the Ghouls. Thank you to Brandon, Corey, Dory, John, and Stan for playing. And thank you to all the wonderful patrons for making these sessions happen. Shoutouts to Platinum patrons: Joe, Will, Thomas, Stan, William, Brandon, Genocider, David, Eclectic, Roleplay Roll, Christopher, Brian, William, David, Corey, Koa1337, Matthew, Big Nut, John, Chris, Scott, Gene, and Eric. And gold patrons: RPG Papercrafts, Pretty Boy, and Yuma, Marcus, Dead Lizard Lounge, Sam, Lumpy Spuds, Jerome, Nathan, Fast, Tortoise, Scott, Rufus, Carolyn, and William. Thank you all very much for your support.
thanks for the game.